Hi, everyone, and welcome to CPA Site Solutions presentation on your tax season recovery plan. This is just a 2-minute warning. We're going to go ahead and get started in about 2 minutes. I just wanted to let you know that we're getting ready so you have time to get a pen and paper if needed. Thank you. Hi, everyone, and welcome to CPA Site Solution presentation on your tax season recovery plan. My name is Fanny Barrientos, and I'd like to thank you all for joining me today. We're going to go ahead and get started, but before we do, I want to go over some housekeeping. The first is in your GoToWebinar panel, there is an option for you to ask questions throughout the presentation. So if there's something that I'd say or something that you might need a little bit of clarification on, don't hesitate to ask. I will go ahead and respond to that question at the end of the presentation. The other thing is this recording and web and slide deck will be sent to you within the next couple of business days. So if there's something you would like to review that you didn't quite catch the first time, you'll have that available to you so that you can review the whole presentation. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and move on to the introduction. All right. So we know that it's after tax season. You're probably just getting your bearings after a really crazy season, especially this year after all the changes that happened. And so, we want to get you to start thinking about marketing. And although next season does feel like quite a ways away, it is only 7 months. So why plan now? Well, the reason why is because marketing takes time and energy, and creating a plan during your off season give you time to ramp up, analyze, and adjust your strategy so that you can have a solid foundation by the start of next tax season. And some channels that you may want to use or leverage are going to take some time to work. So just like SEO, so you want to start as soon as possible. All right, so ultimately what this is doing is trying to get you more profitability, right? Doing some marketing to improve profitability over this year. So there are 5 steps to improving profitability through marketing. First, it's going to be to identify and target your ideal clients. Then it's to create a website that stands out from everyone else. Get found online organically through search engine optimization. You'll also want to strongly build social media presence for word of online or newer word of mouth marketing. And then you'll want to initiate pay-per-click to help you supplement all these efforts. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about how to identify and target your ideal clients. So when we're talking about marketing, you really have to think about the type of clients that you have. And I'm sure everyone has a client that probably stood out to you for a good or a bad reason this past tax season. So in order to assess your client base, you'll want to use this personality and profitability matrix to segment your clients into 4 quadrants, right? The 4 quadrants being Quadrant one here are clients who are not highly profitable and difficult to work with. These are people that, may do the bare minimum service with you and are on top of that make things more difficult for you. Then in quadrant two are people that you enjoy working with that are nice, but they don't necessarily need any services that are more profitable or bring in more revenue for you. Quadrant three is going to cover clients that pay well, but are unfortunately difficult to deal with. And then your quadrant four are your ideal clients. So these are clients that need services from you that would bring in more revenue and are also more fun to work with. All right, so ideally you want less or almost no clients from quadrant one and more from quadrant four. Obviously, not everyone's going to be falling into these two categories, but this is what you're going for. In quadrant one, you may want to consider firing those clients yourself, as it frees up time for good clients. And we know that this is awkward and it requires a little bit of hand holding. So when you receive this deck, click on this link right here, and it is a free guide to help you understand, give you more insight into the profitability personality matrix, but also give you some steps on how to tactfully transition clients out of your firm without coming off unprofessional. In quadrant two, we have so-so revenue. So these are clients that you can work on that will eventually be moved here. And quadrant three is also bad revenue if they're exhausting to your firm. So you may want to consider taking them off your list for next year and working with clients that are easier to work with, because these are probably the people that are sucking up some of your time that could be otherwise dedicated to clients that are easier to work with. And then, of course, quadrant four is your superstar clients, so you'll want to proactively reach out to them and help them remain loyal with frequent emails or check-ins, cards, thank you cards, social media, whatever it may be. Okay, so now that we've briefly covered that, again, I do encourage you to download the guide to get a little bit more information on how you can do this. We're going to be talking about creating a website that stands out from the rest. And the reason why a website is very important, not just any old website, but a website that is specifically tailored to your needs as an accountant, is important because really that's going to be the hub of all of your marketing, where you're doing traditional radio spots, or if you're doing more, digital marketing, then these are things that you're going to want to refer your audience back to learn more about you, because people are just more accustomed to finding more about you from a website, right? Okay. So, 4 secrets to having a website that turns online searchers into new clients. First, it's going to be setting a good first impression. So ensure to use imagery and design and features that would immediately resonate with your target audience. And really what that's really speaking to is having a design that looks updated, something that looks current, because we actually found, after reading a few case studies, that people tend to not trust websites that look outdated. So you'll want to have a website that is current with best practices now. Even if your website was up, even in 2015, some of those outdated elements and have been phased out. So you'll want to ensure that your design is up to date. And your website should have updated features and functionality so it loads quickly and looks polished. So that's really what that's speaking to. And your website should be easy to navigate, putting the user first. So the idea with navigation on a website is that you don't want to make the user think too hard. And really a best practice when it comes to navigation, or like a navigation bar, is on a desktop, ensure that it shows up across the top. And on a mobile device, it should be somewhere, it should be what we call a hamburger icon, those 3 horizontal lines that people can click on to expand a menu. It should be on, traditionally, the top left corner so that anyone who's right-handed can reach it. The next part, it's really becoming more and more important as technology progresses, is to be mobile friendly. So you'll want to ensure a flawless user experience across every screen, because more than 80% of visitors are likely to be searching for you on a mobile phone. So ensure that your design is responsive to the screen size. And responsive is the word that we use in order to indicate whether a site is mobile friendly. If people don't have a good interaction with your website on a mobile device, they're likely to click back in search results, right? Because frankly, they don't really have to deal with trying to figure out what your website says. There are a lot of other options out there for them to refer back to. So if the website is frustrating in any way, they will make a split second decision to move back to search results and find someone else. And on top of everything, because user behavior is, leaning toward mobile devices more and more, search engines are now favorably ranking mobile-friendly websites on mobile search results, and will even tell the user whether or not the website is mobile-friendly up front. So user doesn't even have to waste time trying to figure out whether or not they can see it on their device. Google will just tell them in search results. Okay, next part is going to be invest in standing out. So you'll want to stand out from other websites with search engine optimization. And building a website or updating a website that you already have goes hand in hand with search engine optimization. So as you're thinking about your current website now, you should be considering what what tactics should be implemented from search engine optimization as you're rebuilding it, because it's a lot harder to go back and rectify those rather than just inserting them into the rebuild from the get-go. And just so you guys know, there are over 140,000 websites launched daily, so it's important to have a website that is valued by both visitors and search engines. And what that means is basically you have to build the website from a technical standpoint in a way that is easy for search engines to crawl and understand what you are and talking about. But you also have to have a website that is visually pleasing for people that land on your pages, and so that they can navigate and understand the information that is in front of them. Um, and of course, last but not least is you're going to want to have strong content and calls to action. So that's what this acronym is here. So the content should be educational and easy to read and informative. So some content that is educational and easy to read is if you have tax organizers during tax season. If you don't already have those on your website, that is something that comes up frequently and that we've seen come up a lot, especially since everything has changed. So having an up-to-date tax organizer is going to be essential. Things like calculators, or maybe a little bit more of a description on what some of the different services are from an educational standpoint, and why you would need a particular service for what purpose. And then as you're creating this content, make sure the content is easy to skim and scan. So one way to do that is by breaking things up with headers, including bulleted points, some, lists, and bolding here and there. And it just makes it easier for someone to kind of go through and decide if that's if what the content on the page is answering their question. Because no one is actually going to sit there and read the page word for word. They're just going to skim it and try to figure out from that if it's worth actually reading into more closely. And then you'll always want to end the page with a strong call to action. So that call to action may be contacting you for a specific service. That call to action may be downloading a guide that you have, downloading a calculator, using a calculator. Always provide a clear next step so that you can keep users on your site and avoid any sort of confusion. So, and then you'll also want to display your contact information on each page. That's typically done through the footer, so that, if a user does decide to reach out to you, that's easy to find your information. All right, so naturally this is going to lead us to search engine optimization. Now, I do want to let you guys know that with search engine optimization, this is just skimming the top. I, by no means, am going to try to cram in all of SEO and how it works into this one presentation. But if you are interested in learning a little bit more about SEO, and if you are having trouble with your rankings this last season and want to rank better next season, now is the perfect time to start thinking about this, because SEO does take some time to get going. Okay, so with search engine optimization, there are really two components that you need to consider optimizing on in order to get better rankings. So first is going to be on-site optimization. These are things that you do on your website directly and helps improve your rankings. And then there's going to be off-site optimization, which is optimization outside of your website that, is somehow associated with you. And I'll go into more detail, explain that a little bit more. But first, let's talk about on-site optimization. All right, so the thing about Google is it does not disclose ranking factors directly, but companies like Moz study ranking behavior to determine various ranking factors and their weights and how important they are, right? So we don't explicitly know what's going on with the algorithm, but by studying it, we kind of get an idea of what is important and how important it is. From that data, we know that Google places about 20% of weight on on-site ranking factors. So what that means is it's really referring to the website content. And so some of it is referring to content and copy that is, when you look at a web page, you can see all of the copy on there. But it's also referring to metadata, which is found in the coded structure of your website. So that's referring to things like if you've heard page titles, meta descriptions, alt tags, that's all copy that's coded into your website and can't be seen just by looking at the page itself, but it's in there. And Google does rely on those things in order to understand what it is that you're talking about. All right, so this is an example of what, what it would look like if you were to optimize actual copy on your site. So this person in Eagle Rock, California, clearly the keyword here is Eagle Rock, California accounting. And then here we have another keyword, full service accounting firm in California. They're working these search keywords into their copy in order to rank better for them. And just remember, as long as it's a picture, Google can read it. All right, so offsite optimization, we're going to be covering that one off now. Okay, so offsite optimization is basically referring to, I'll give you a brief overview, backlinks are just some way that other websites connect to yours. And there's different types like directories and pure backlinks and all of that. But basically, the power of them is because Google looks at all of the websites that connect back to yours, and then from there determines if those backlinks are relevant to your site. So in terms of relevancy, that typically refers to industry or geographical location that you may have in common with these other sites. So to give you an example, let's look at a university website, right? If you are, let's say, have a speaking engagement at a university website and the professor decides to link back to a page that sort of describes you and who you are, and that's located on your own website, that is then considered a backlink, right? There's a relationship there because you have a real life engagement with that university that's being represented online through a backlink. Another type of backlink is going to be a directory. So Google My Business, City Search, Mata, Yellow Pages. These are specific to local businesses. And so Google looks at these different directories to understand where you are in the world geographically in real life. All right, so we know now that we've kind of covered what the different types of external factors are. So based off Moz data, offsite optimization such as backlinks, Google My Business, and other local directories actually consist of 57%. So there's more weight on how other people are connected to your other sites rather than what's on your actual website. Okay, so let's talk about claiming your business listings. Claiming your business listings is really referring to claiming a listing on Google Maps, on Yellow Pages, on Yelp. And what that does is it's important so that you can appear in Google's snack pack. And if those listings are clean and they all match up, it's more likely that you're going to show up here in these map results right here, which is prime real estate because they now appear typically before any organic listings down here. So what you'll have is toward the top above the snack pack, you may have some ads. And then this will be prominently shown above what we say above the fold, so immediately on the screen without having to scroll down. And then when you scroll down, you'll have this. Rankings in the snack pack are largely determined by the quality of an accounting firm's business listings information. So what that is referring to is what we call consistency within your listings, and more importantly, consistency within your NAP data, which is your name, address, and phone number. Basically, what you want to do is have your name, address, and phone number match up across all the different directories, right? So it has to appear exactly the same in all the different directories that are out there, especially the top ones like Yellow Pages and Yelp, and particularly Google. And you want to first, once you have consistency there, you'll want to verify your listings. And what that means is you go through this process with the directory themselves where you verify your geographical location with them. And then that provides you access in order so that you can edit the information on your own listing. So the thing is that you probably already have a listing out there that's being pushed by bots, just people scraping information. But by verifying, you are one, signaling to Google that, yeah, you're there and that information is correct. And two, it gives you access to be able to maintain consistency in your name, address, and phone number information. Next, you want to optimize your listings. And again, you can't do that until after you've already verified that and been given access to that dashboard. So optimizing your listing means you provide the correct name, address, phone number, but also a description about your business hours, anything else you want to include, a link to your website, that kind of information, and make sure it's the same across, all listings. And then finally, you're going to want to remove duplicated. So I know you guys have seen this before, especially in, when Google Maps is really trying to get the hang of things, but sometimes you would search for a business, right? Like, I don't know, let's say like a pizza place, and then you would see two different listings for what looked like the same business. It was just kind of sort of different, a little bit different. So one of those is a duplicate. And the reason those are bad is because it confuses both search engines and users, right? You don't know which one's the right one, which one has the correct information, which one to click on. And so Google will look at that and they'll actually push those listings down because they're like, I don't know who you are. I don't know which one of these is correct. And so that's why you want to get rid of one of the duplicated ones. Usually whichever one has the least amount of reviews or the wrong information, or, whichever one is easiest to get rid of. The reason why duplicate listings exist is one, because there's a lot of scraped information out there from data aggregators. So, they'll go and try to figure out what local businesses are out there and publish what they find to directories. It's all automated. And sometimes when businesses move or have a new phone number or acquired and have a new business name, data aggregators can't tell that it's the same business, so they'll just create a new listing, right? So then you have multiple listings in one directory for the same business. If you find that you do have multiple listings, I've included a post here on more explaining why these are bad for your SEO. And there are step-by-steps with common scenarios and how to get rid of the duplicated listings. So if you guys are, doing nothing else and take nothing else away from this, work on this one part. It really is one of the simpler parts of SEO that you can have direct control over. And it's a great first step to start and get some of those rankings. All right, so one of the other factors are actually within the algorithm are going to be having native reviews or reviews on your Google My Business listing itself, so on Google Maps, basically. So in terms of collecting reviews, and when you're looking for quality, you want what are called native reviews. So these are reviews directly on Google Maps. So in order to collect them, you're going to want to, reach out to existing clients, typically happy clients, or put it on your website. And once you've collected more reviews, you'll also want to start responding to reviews, regardless of whether it's positive or negative. We have a couple of tips here. I won't spend too much time on it, but just make sure that you are attentive to at the attentive at the reviews that are on Google and respond to them regardless of whether they're positive or negative. Because that just looks better, right? And then people can easily see that you are responsive and you're easy to get a hold of. So this isn't necessarily for the person that's leaving the review. It's for everybody else that can see the response and see that you are responsive and available. All right, so link building is another part that's, heavily weighted in ranking factors, and that's this one is probably the most difficult part of SEO because it's so tricky. So link building is really referring to obtaining inbound links to your own site with quality and authority, especially with recent changes in local SEO. So to give you an idea of what some of those backlinks might be, they're typically going to be relevant to your industry or location. So one way that you could do this is you can share educational articles and content that others would find valuable enough to repost on their blog or website, and then including a link in that blog post back to your own site. You can also look for opportunities in the local community for article features or events where you can be featured with a link back to your site. So local news will sometimes, um, do a story on a community event, and if you're participating in the event, that's an opportunity for you to create a backlink. One place that's actually really easy, depending on how your local commerce site is set up, is you can reach out to your local chamber of commerce or get listed on Better Business Bureau. They typically have a directory where it'll point back to your site, and it's a great signal for Google because it lets them know which city you're associated with, and then it's also a link that gets passed on to your website. And of course, if you're a member of any professional society, state or local organization, see if you can be listed as a member somewhere on their site. So the AICPA comes to mind, or any state association that has a directory to find CPAs or EAs or whatever it is that you may be licensed as. And then ensure that you are included in that directory with a link back to your own site. All right, so let's talk about social media. So social media helps accounting firms because it increases visibility and referrals by expanding your network of followers. You can also learn how your audience responds to various campaigns through analytics dashboards, so you can kind of get a feel for how your audience is responding. And you can create a personalized channel to stay engaged with clients outside of the office. And really, this is kind of speaking back to that personality matrix where, you want to stay engaged with the clients that you want to keep. So social media is a good way of doing that. And by posting content and reaching out and engaging with them through comments, like that's the new age word of mouth to stay top of mind. Because what happens is if, come tax season next year, people are going to be looking for accountants. And if you stay top of mind, people can actually tag your page for people that are looking for recommendations. And then your clients are then doing some work for you through word of mouth and recommending you to their friends and their circle of people that are looking for recommendations. You can advertise in a more cost-effective, targeted manner than traditional forms of marketing on social media as well. And you can immediately address and answer basic customer inquiries because actually nowadays a lot of people are turning to social media for customer service questions. And social media pages like Facebook will actually provide a badge to let people know how responsive you are through direct messages. So although they don't see what you're saying to the other person, they can see how quickly you get to them. And if they see that you are very responsive through direct messages as well, they're more likely to reach out to you on social media and ask for help or ask something of you. All right, so in order to build a strong social media presence, you really want to start building a large network of followers and provide consistent, valuable, educational, meaningful content. So a couple of tips for you. You want to keep posts educational and relevant to your target audience's needs. So if let's say, for example, you are I don't know, let's say you're in Northern California and there's a lot of tech startups, right? If you are the type of person that addresses that, you're going to want to post articles from third parties that speaks to tech startups and how to get some, venture capital or, how to approach, maybe do an elevator pitch, things like that, that people that, typically have problems with when they're starting their own tech startup. You may also want to promote specials or events to attract followers and create excitement around your firm. Just ensure that you not only post promotional content, make sure that your content actually adds value. And then you're going to want to find a balance between your educational posts that don't always have to come from you. They can come from third parties like Forbes or, any of those um, financial magazines. And then ensure that something newsworthy and promotional. And it's okay to post funny content. Like, not everybody goes to social media to be taught something new every day, right? It's okay to just have a meme here and there if you think that that actually resonates with your audience. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's just something you'll have to try out. Okay, and you'll also want to cultivate a strong relationship with followers through consistent and thoughtful interaction. So you can ask loyal clients to leave positive reviews on your Facebook page. Make sure to thank them, just like with Google. Respond to all comments, questions, and messages. Post content that your audience wants, and post newsworthy, up-to-date topics that give people a reason to share. I feel like as an accountant, you have plenty of news to work with. So, as long as you create content that's not completely biased, then you can ask for people's thoughts on all of the recent changes that are happening. All right, so community management is comprised of three major components. Obviously, create content, we covered that. Manage engagement, so when people leave comments, you're going to want to respond back and responding to reviews. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but these are just some examples of how you can create more interaction between you and your audience. And then here are some ideas on what type of content you can start using. And then I did want to throw this in. Try not to post anything that's negative or offensive jokes or personal opinions or photos on your business page. Do whatever you want on your personal page, that's yours. But anything that's highly debatable or political or anything like that, posted on a business page is not necessarily the best because, one, you have to remember that there are multiple people working for your business, or there may be, and you may accidentally be representing views that someone does not hold within your company or within your firm. And then also having a very strong opinion about anything particular can start unnecessary fights on social media, and we know that that's it's just not a great reflection on you as a business owner. So just try to stay away from those. It's okay to ask for people's thoughts. Just try your best not to take a position on that as the business, so that you don't turn off anyone else. Okay, so oftentimes, your followers will interact with you. Just make sure you reply to all comments, reply in a timely manner, and remember that everyone can see how you're responding, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so let's move on to creating a pay-per-click campaign. Okay, I got a little messed up. All right. Oh, well, I didn't save. That's okay. All right. So first, with the benefits of PPC, you can be found in the right place at the right time. So with pay-per-click, you can target people that are searching for you, right? So you bid on those keywords, and you can appear when they're looking for you. So it's very permission-based. You can complement your SEO strategy because AdWords can actually show you results almost instantly that then your findings can be applied through your social media your SEO tactics. And you can target a wider audience. So with pay-per-click, you can extend the market that you're reaching out to. With SEO, unfortunately, it is hyper localized. So it's typically only going to show you for people that are within your general geographical vicinity. And so you can actually exclude where you are as a strategy, right? You can exclude advertising where you are and appearing organically, and then only market to other areas outside of your immediate geographical location. And then with pay-per-click, you can also track leads and improve ROI pretty easily because you are paying for advertising space. You're given a lot more information to work with. So you can tell what your ROI is on that advertising. And with as far as best practices go for PPC, you should utilize research tools like Keyword Planner to better define which keywords are best to target. So Keyword Planner is exactly what it sounds like. It'll tell you which keywords are have heavier competition, about how much bids are, so you can figure out what your budget would look like, and then you can tell how much search volume is behind that keyword, so you can see whether or not it's worth targeting with advertising. And then with pay-per-click, you'll want to implement what are called negative keywords, which are keywords that you don't want to show up for. And that's important so that you don't waste any spend or budget on keywords that are frankly useless to you, right? So anything like free tax software, that's not going to bring in anything for you. So you're just going to want to keep that keyword off of your budget. The important thing is that you're going to always want to be testing. Chances are when you start a PPC campaign right away, you're not going to perform right away because every budget is different, every location is different, every campaign is different. So by testing, you can move the dial in order to improve conversions, click-through rate, and base overall performance of your campaigns. And then you're going to want to select your target audience. To avoid having your ads appear to someone across the country or someone who doesn't make sense for your services. It's going to save you both time and money. Okay, so here's an example of an A/B test. In this case, it's an ad copy test. And with an A/B test, you're going to want to create ad copy that's alike, right, with only one variable that's changed. So here, this is all the same. The green and gray text is all the same. The only thing changing is the blue text here. And then when we ran this test, the test actually revealed that having the location here is actually got the most clicks. So once you know which of these is attracting more clicks, then you can move on to the next part of the test and test something else. So in this case, we decided to move on to see which location resonates more with people. So saying either Bay Area or San Francisco. Those are similar, so wanted to see which is tested better. And in this case, I believe, let's see, I believe in this case, the Bay Area performed better. So we ended up keeping Bay Area, and then and then from there, you can move on to see the page that this ad is directing to. We'll probably want to include Bay Area in the copy. Okay, so as I mentioned, we do have a few resources for you. These are all guides and white papers that pretty much give more detail into everything that I just covered off. So if you want to learn more about social media, that's the first one. If you want to take a step back and figure out how to increase retention and lifetime value of clients, that's available to you. The white paper with the personality matrix is going to be finding a better client if you need to fire some of your own clients. And then we also gave you some best practices for websites and AdWords as well. Okay, and at this time, I do want to remind you guys that you're not alone. If you decide that you want to take the next step and are ready to ask for help, please reach out to us. We do cover services in all of these different aspects, website design, search engine optimization, pay-per-click, and social media. So please do not hesitate to reach out either through our website or through the toll-free number on your screen. If you have any questions on this webinar, please follow up. I do take it, I am responsible for our own social media, so you can actually reach out to me directly through Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. You can just message me if you have any questions. Okay, so let's see. It looks like we had a few questions. Okay, let's see. How do I get to change my address with Google? Okay, so the first step is you're going to want to verify your Google listing. And if you actually go to, let's see, gybo.com. All right. So let's see, business listing, view my listing. Enter your business name and city there, and you'll be able to pull up your listing. And then from there, it'll actually personalize your instructions to verify your listing and then help you add any more information and change your address as well. So just go there. That's probably the easiest way to update your listing. Let's see, any way to get on Google Map but not have your actual building shown? Yes. So if you verify your listing, always verify your listing first. So I think the question is you don't want your address shown because you probably have a home office, right? And that's the case with a lot of accountants. So what you can do is go to Google and you should have the option to have what's called a service area business. It's an acronym, let's see, SAB. And you can tell Google which area you service. So it could be like a radius from your location, but it's not going to give your actual address. So once you claim your listing and yeah, you're going to go through the process of verifying and all of that, then go to the options where you update your address and say that this is a service area business so that you no longer have to have your address on Google. Okay. Okay. Let's do it. Okay, let's see what it says. PPC appears dicey. Too many viewers with different ideas on what is being offered, and thereby getting only those that want free service or advice. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so you are basically trying to weed out the audience that just wants to reach out to get advice because they're probably doing their own thing, right? So that's really where negative keywords comes in. So in the reports for pay-per-click, it'll actually tell you exactly what users are saying or the search query that users are using in order to find you, right? So if you go through that search query report, you can start seeing the phrases that people are using in order to look for or seek free advice or free services. And adding those as negative keywords will start weeding out that audience. So PPC does require a lot of optimization, and you can't just set it and forget it. You can't just set a budget and hope it works out. It's going to require testing, negative keywords, maybe some bid adjustments. And so you're going to want to go through and make sure that those are working to the best of their ability. Let's see, you also had a question on A/B testing. Who does the testing, and is this a trial and error via build for it? So I think you're asking, how do you test? So when you have an AdWords account, you're responsible for your own A/B testing. And basically what you do is, say for ad copy, for example, right? You create the actual ads in your dashboard and then compare metrics for those two ads, which are going to be impressions and clicks and conversions, and see which one is performing better based on the metric that you value most. Typically, if you're doing ad copy testing, this is going to be click-through rate. If you're looking at which is bringing in more leads, you're going to look at conversion rate. But it is up to you to do your own testing. I know that Google has introduced a sort of automated tool to help with A/B testing as well. I'm not really sure how well it does yet, but it might be something to consider. Okay, let's see. There's another question. Does Google list those working out of your residence address location? It can. It has happened. So my advice to you would be to claim your listing on Google and then make sure that it says that you are a service area business. That way Google will know not to show your address, but know that which area you serve. Okay, and then just so you guys know, all of the links in this deck are going to work once you are able to download this presentation. So once it's sent to you, you'll be able to click on all of them and it'll give you the guide. Okay, that a lot of great questions. Super happy you guys were able to follow and ask them. Okay, so at this time, I think we just have a few minutes left. I'm gonna hang in here, and just in case there are any outstanding questions, or if you want me to clarify anything, feel free to keep adding them to the GoToWebinar panel. But at this time, I am going to conclude the presentation. Be on the lookout for all of the guides and deck and recording. And until next time, have a great day.